to hear about not only Mr. Trump, but all of the presidential candidates from our keynote speaker, Mark Halperin. It's been an honor to serve as chairman of the board of the largest and most influential business membership organization in Westchester over these past months. When I began my term as chairman, I asked our board of directors to increase their level of engagement, so together we could further expand the impact of the Business Council of Westchester. Our directors responded with increased participation in our meetings, in brainstorming sessions, and executive strategy sessions. As a result, we have exciting new initiatives that have originated or been developed directly from their involvement. Our board is a significant part of the success of the BCW, and I feel privileged to lead this dedicated, talented, and well-connected group of individuals that represent businesses that help drive the economy here in Westchester. I would like to request that all of our directors stand for a well-deserved round of applause. Thank you. Tonight's dinner also serves as our annual meeting of members. So please bear with me as we have two pieces of business that we need to conduct. The first, in compliance with regulations, is simply for me to provide the following informative disclosure. Our financial report is on file with the New York State Charities Bureau, and our membership information is on file at the Business Council of Westchester offices. The second piece of business is a bit more exciting, and that is the election of new members to our board of directors. Each of our Business Council members has previously been sent the slate of nominees, and it is also presented here on the screens in the room. At this time, I would like to request a motion and a second to accept the slate of nominees for election. Wally Harrison, thank you. Jean Marie Connolly, thank you. And for this next part, I need all of our members to participate in a firm voice. Will all of those BCW members in favor of electing the slate of nominees to the board of directors please indicate by saying yes right now? Yes. Thank you. Now, for those who are not in favor, please indicate that by saying no right now. See, I love it when we're unanimous. Thank you. Our slate of nominees is now officially elected. I want to personally congratulate and welcome our new directors to our board and let you know that I am very excited to begin working with you, starting with your term in January of 2016. I do need your attention just for one more moment, please. I also want to recognize our incredible staff at the Business Council of Westchester that make evenings like tonight possible, including our very own John Ravitz. Let's have a big round of applause for our staff at the Business Council. And I especially want us all to acknowledge the leadership, the enthusiasm, and the tireless efforts of our President and CEO, Dr. Marsha Gordon. You can stand. It is, thank you very much, and it's well-deserved. It is thanks to Marcia's hard work that the Business Council's influence continues to grow, not only in Westchester, but in our entire region. And now, I'm going to give the podium back to you. Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, Tony. Oh my God, I'm a little bit verklempt here, you know? Very emotional. Thank you all. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I also, you know, when you introduce elected officials and dignitaries, you invariably leave someone very important out. And so I am very pleased to also recognize Reggie Lafayette, the Commissioner of the Westchester Board of Elections. So 2015 has been an incredible year for the Business Council of Westchester and for our members. The Business Council has continued to be the catalyst to help our members build, connect, and grow. Now, through the night, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the photos around and up on the screens of everything that we've done in the past year. And it's a lot of fun to watch it, but it really is about all of you doing great things for the business community. And so together, we've helped our members build their businesses by offering more programming, more seminars, and advocacy initiatives that address the needs of all the sectors of our membership. We have helped them connect to new customers and clients through networking programs and educational programs that speak to all sizes and types of businesses. And finally, we've continued to change to meet the ever-evolving business landscape in Westchester in order to help our members succeed and win. From the Green Business Challenge to our Rising Stars, and from our workforce training, which, by the way, Len, includes internships, I know that's near and dear to your heart, to our advocacy initiatives, we have provided nearly 100 signature events, workshops, programs, economic development, and advocacy initiatives that have touched businesses of all sizes. Besides being such a busy year, this has been a transformative year as well. We have unveiled our new brand, our new headquarters, and our new board leadership. We're proud once again to be on the leading edge of today's issues that affect all Westchester businesses. And all we can say is that the best is yet to come in 2016. And speaking of building and connecting and winning, our next guest personifies this slogan, Dr. Leonard Schleifer. He is an entrepreneur, a visionary, and a premier business leader, not just in Westchester, but globally. And he is a longtime member, friend, and honoree of the Business Council of Westchester. Dr. Schleifer founded Regeneron in his New York City apartment. Yes, like me, he is from Queens and is a Met fan, over 25 years ago. And today, Regeneron is not only New York State's largest biotech company, but it is the 5th largest biotech company in the world, with a market value of nearly $60 billion. Dr. Schleifer has been recognized by Barron's and the Harvard Business Review as its, Len, everyone's trying to picture what $60 billion looks like. Has been recognized by Barron's and the Harvard Business Review as a top-performing CEO, and Regeneron has consistently been named one of the top 5 most innovative companies in the world by Forbes. This year, Regeneron took a spot on the 100 Best Places to Work list, which complements being Science Magazine's #1 biopharmaceutical employer in the world for the last 3 years. Most important, in addition to his tremendous success, Dr. Schleifer has always firmly believed in giving back and helping other businesses succeed. He has served as co-chair of Governor Cuomo's Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council since its inception 5 years ago. I'm pleased to see Amy Vargas here and Megan Taylor, who has led us in those efforts. And as a member of the Council's Executive Committee, I've watched him fight firsthand for our businesses and for our region. He has led a tremendous effort to energize not only the region's economy, but the entire state. From a personal perspective, I've worked closely with Len for more than a decade, and I'm proud to call him a friend. Please welcome Dr. Leonard Schleifer, founder, president, and CEO of Regeneron.
I think we could skip my talk and just run that loop that somebody hopefully recorded that, because it's really a nice introduction. Thank you very much, Marcia, Chairman Justick, CEO Gordon. It's great to be here. I originally was planning to be here and just say a few words, and given my connection to what we thought would be the governor speaking. But now I get to do a little bit more, which is fine by me. But I'm not sure it's exactly what Marcia wanted, because one of the things I learned while we were sort of waiting downstairs is that each industry and each event sort of has its own jargon. I'm a physician by training, as I'll get into in a little while, and in sort of my world, we have jargon. So like if we say to you, and you come as a patient, it's not so bad, we really mean it's not so good. If we tell you we need to run a few tests, it means we're going to test everything that the insurance company will pay for. Marcia gave me some of her jargon. She said, talk as long as you want. What do you think she meant? 2 minutes. But I'm up here, so what the heck. She also said, don't try and be funny with this group. They won't get it. I think she was telling the truth in that one, so I'm going to skip some of my best material and try and do what Marcia asked me to do, is give you a whirlwind tour of what some people have described Regeneron as an overnight success. It's also business jargon for almost 30 years of incredible hard work by a lot of people. My background is I didn't have my first job until 11 years after college. That was where I was trained as an MD and a PhD and an intern and a resident and board certified in neurology, and did all that stuff, but woke up one morning and realized that perhaps there was a way to touch more patients than seeing one patient at a time. Because as a doctor, that's sort of what your leverage isn't great. You see a patient, you can make a difference. But if you could be in the drug business, I sort of reasoned that maybe if you could come up with something, you'd be able to treat thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, and make them better in a greatly leveraged way. So I gave up my faculty position at Cornell Medical School and set out and founded Regeneron. It appears from recent news reports I do have something in common with Donald Trump, in that I also got a small loan of $1 million. I got a very large initial seed of $1 million, which was more money than I could ever have imagined, and set out and started Regeneron. The most important thing that happened early on in Regeneron is that I was able to find my partner in business, George Yankopoulos, who is also an MD and a PhD and probably the smartest person that they minted in his generation. And the good news is that he came from very tough Greek immigrant background, and his father said, if you're so smart and you graduated #1 at Bronx Science and you graduated #1 at Columbia and you have an MD and a PhD and all these things, why do they only pay you $32,000 a year? why don't you get a real job? And so that's why George was willing to think about working with me. The only thing that surprised me is that on the last night where he said, can we have one more meeting before he joined Regeneron, I said, sure, why not? And he told me where he'd like to meet. When I got there, it wasn't George, it was his father who was checking me out. So fortunately, I passed the test, and for the last almost 30 years, we have led what we think is a true science-driven company. We set out to deal with terrible neurologic diseases such as Lou Gehrig's disease. By the way, does anybody know who Wally Pipp is? Yes. Well, for those of you who don't know who Wally Pipp is, Wally Pipp was a first baseman for the Yankees of some repute, and he had a job to do one day, which was to go out and play first base, and he had a headache. And so he said to the manager, he said, Coach, I don't think I'm going to be able to play today. He says, no worries. We'll put that new kid in and see how he does. That new kid was Lou Gehrig, and Wally Pipp became a footnote. Now, I'm not suggesting because I'm here talking in somebody else's place that that person is going to be Wally Pipp. You know? I'm just saying. I already see some of the governor's people sitting up straight. Amy, I love the governor, by the way. My relationship goes way back with the Cuomo family. Governor Mario Cuomo gave us $250,000 as an investment in Regeneron, which helped us get started. It would appear that once you get in with the Cuomos, you don't get out. So I took that $250,000, and I was very happy and pleased to introduce my friend Governor Cuomo, because I really believe in what he's been doing in economic development, which is why I've been involved in that and why Marsh has been involved. But that's a story for another day. At any rate, we set out to cure Lou Gehrig's disease because it was a terrible disease. We thought we could make a difference, and we thought we would be successful. We would do well by doing good. We were baseball fans. We would probably get seats right behind first base at Yankee Stadium. All would be great. I was on 60 Minutes being castigated by Leslie Stahl saying, how come you're holding back this treatment? People are throwing away their canes. But that isn't the way it turned out to be. The scientific method proved that, unfortunately, we couldn't make a difference despite all the great... I mean, if you have, unfortunately, Lou Gehrig's disease in a mouse, we've got the drug, but we didn't have it for people. And it was a very sad ending for that chapter, but we kept going. Marsha's saying, move it along already. Is anybody enjoying this other than me? All right, I'm going to keep going.
One of our board members' brother-in-law passed away yesterday from Lou Gehrig.
I'm sorry to hear that. Marsha said one of the board members passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a terrible disease. As a neurologist, I can tell you, we used to refer to it, and it's been described as a disease where you have a front row seat to your own demise. It's a very terrible disease, and we still wish we could make a difference. We weren't able to, but we kept going, and we scraped around, and we kept doing what I think what George was doing, world-class science. The science he was doing was being recognized all around the world. He became a member of the National Academy of Sciences, and kept advancing technology, kept making a difference, and we kept struggling. There were times where we didn't know where the payroll was going to come from, so we feel your pain, business people out there who are entrepreneurs, and you sort of had this great idea. And my son told me, my oldest son, reminded me that when we've had several failures. He told me that he was a young boy when we had one of our failures, and he remembers my wife, my dear wife, married of 40 years, by the way, my wife saying, don't bother Dad, I don't think he's going to come out for a few days, so it was they were dark times. Any success story usually has that, but we kept going, and we have emerged with what I think is one of the best pipelines and approved set of drugs in the world. We have a drug that treats hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with blinding disease called age-related macular degeneration. Some of the people in the room might be on our drug EYLEA or family members. It also treats diabetic macular edema, diabetic eye disease, and we're very proud of the fact that that drug has been made a difference in people's lives. We have a drug for a rare genetic disease. We have a drug for end-stage colon cancer. We have a drug that was just launched, a little commercial, Praluent. I can't say much because I see my general counsel is sitting there, so he gets madder than Marsha when I go off script. But it is a drug that is approved by the FDA for the treatment, the first-in-class new approval for a drug to lower cholesterol in patients who either have a familial form of the disease, familial hypercholesterolemia, or for people who have cardiovascular disease and can't get their cholesterol low enough with a statin. So here's a company, Regeneron, that's trying to do good. And why is it that our industry is the most hated industry by all the politicians, including, I happen to live in Chappaqua, one of them from my own hometown, doesn't seem to like our industry. And a lot of people don't. And the question is, why is that? And I don't know, but I have some ideas. We can't go into them. But I think that we, and as a biotechnology industry, actually are part of a bargain. You know, we get a patent. Why do we get a patent? Anybody know where patents come from? Patents come from I know there's a few patent lawyers here. Our founding fathers thought it was important enough for the fabric of this country, so they put the right of Congress to grant patents to promote the useful arts and sciences in the Constitution. For those of you who carry a pocket version of the Constitution around, you will find Article 1, Section 8 says that Congress can give out patents. There's a reason for that. The only president to ever get a patent, anybody care to venture a guess? That's very good. Who is that? Abe Lincoln. It's absolutely correct. You know what the patent was for? A boat. Wow. What's your name? He's a patent attorney. Get out of here. Of course you know the answer. Okay. Abe Lincoln was the only guy who got. But you know what he said about patents? I bet you don't know what he said about patents if you're so smart. What did he say about patents? All right, I got one on you. But Lincoln said in his great way, he said, patents add the fuel of interest to the fire of genius. Think about that. The fuel of interest to the fire of genius. So he recognized that people need an incentive. You know, when I go to bed at night, I worry about lots of things. And I do some stuff, and which is none of most of people's business here. But why is that so funny? 40 years, remember. So at any rate, it turns out Can I have some quiet here? I'm not even sure the point I was making. Oh, yes. The point I was making is that I don't go to bed worrying about, I worry maybe what Putin's up to in the Middle East, but I don't worry that some Russian guy in a laboratory in Moscow is going to discover the next cure for heart disease or for cancer or for Alzheimer's disease. There's no incentives. There's no system. There's no venture capital. There's no NIH. There's no university-based system. There's no incentive in the stock markets. There's no people willing to risk billions of dollars. It's a uniquely American system, and we're the best at it in the world in the United States. So the question is, so the question is, why are we reviled? What's going on? You know, part of it is, it's historical. I was telling somebody, it's got to do with the fact that 20-something years ago, if you went to the hospital and you had a heart attack and you had a triple bypass and you had some complications, you could run up a $200,000 bill and you wouldn't pay a nickel of it. Go to the drugstore. how can they charge $30 for those pills? You know, so it wasn't paid by insurance, so the drug companies were easy to hate. And by the way, there were other good reasons to hate the drug companies, because a lot of them did some pretty crappy things. That guy who raised the price of the drug 100-fold. If it's not criminal, it should be, and it's certainly immoral and unethical. And we ought to drum that guy out of the business. But we do need drugs, because we all, unfortunately, either get sick or know people who get sick or want to have a drug that's going to help us or help our child or help our parent or help ourselves. So we need this, and the question is, how do we make it all work? How do we create the incentive? Businesses need, this is a business council. Everybody in this room knows you need incentives. Capital is agnostic. It doesn't go to synagogue. It doesn't go to church. It won't be at the mosque. It'll be chasing where it can get a return on its investment. That's capitalism. I'm for it. I don't believe we should be socialists. On the other hand, we have an obligation so that when people need our products and can't afford it, we have to make sure they get it. And so there is a balance that has to be struck where there's enough return where, and I believe in a little bit of a Robin Hood system. Maybe those can afford pay a little more, those that can't don't pay. But we never would deny. Regeneron, and I don't know of any reputable company, any CEO, any CSO, who would ever deny somebody their drug if it could help them if they can't afford it. We would never do that. So the grand bargain has to be, there has to be enough incentive for businesses to operate in an incredibly risky venture where most of the time things fail. Our first several drugs fail. Most companies never make it. You're hearing this big success story where a company can go from nothing to be worth I like to say this, $60 billion. That's only in America, and it's good as long as we do it in the right way. Anyway, I've gone too long on that subject because Marsh is getting even more nervous. So let me close by addressing the question that Marsha asked me to address, is do I have any advice for young entrepreneurs? And how can they think about becoming successful? And I think that there's several principles that I've learned. First of all, in my business, we believe that you do well only by doing good. And frankly, I think it's true in any business. If you put your customers first, our customers are patients. Your customers may be other people or businesses or what have you. But if you put your customers first, that's a surefire formula for doing well. You'll come up with products that they actually want. The second thing is you have to have the vantage point and time horizon that matches your business cycles. We have become a culture in this country where CNBC, my good friend Jim Cramer, who loves to have us on, mainly because Jim recommended us when our stock was 5, and now it's 550. So he likes to be on. He likes to be on the. Yeah, that's pretty good. Five. So anyway, whatever. 5 to 550, 100-fold. But the point I'm getting at, we've become a culture that we want instant results because we can get the quarterly results. We want them and want to know if they're good or bad. But if your business cycle is longer, you have to tell your investors or your board or whoever you report to that you're working on a horizon that's commensurate with your business cycle. That's how we like to think of things. The most important thing, in my opinion, is a lesson that I learned from my dad. My dad lived to be 99 and a half, and I was lucky to have him. He took a driving test when he was 99 because my family was worried about that it wouldn't be safe to drive. I was nominated to tell him that. I remember him saying to me, "Who put your wife and your brother in charge of the motor vehicle department?" So, at any rate, what he taught me, he was a sweater manufacturer in his youth during the Depression, and what he taught me is if you treat your employees well, if you treat your employees well, you will have the best employees in the world, and you run the best business in the world. And I just can't tell you how important that is. There's a lot been written about the gap between the hire and the lower ends of our society in terms of wealth. And that gap is way too large, and people a lot smarter than me have said that the reason for the gap is that it used to be that labor got a larger share of the pie than capital did. In other words, money that you earn by working is labor, money that you earn by investing is capital, and that capital and labor was somewhat balanced in our system of capitalism, so that labor was doing okay, and it wasn't just the people who had capital to invest. And some people, smarter than I, as I said, understand this and think that this is that this separation has to narrow. We think that there's a way to do this. One way to do this is you treat your employees well by getting them somehow participating in the capital of your business. Whether that means profit sharing, whether that means bonuses tied to how the business is doing. In our case, it means stock options. Do you know that we give out stock options, and we have created approximately 750 millionaires at Regeneron by letting them, 750, by letting them participate in the capital formation, and they come to work really charged up and really wanting to work hard. So I would say to you, focus on your customers, make sure you have the right time horizon, and make sure you treat your employees well. And I think that that is a formula for business that will work in any business at any time. So let me just close by thanking Marcia for giving me this opportunity, thanking the governor for giving me some of his time, and I want to stop because I actually would like to get home to watch the Met game. So thank you very much.
Len, you are an incredible human being in every way. Needless to say, you're an incredible businessman. You're an incredible human being, and I think you all got a sense of that today. There wasn't a pin drop in this room. Thank you so much. This was on, ladies and gentlemen, less than 24 hours notice, so thank you so much, Len, for your commitment and for being here. Everyone, take a break, enjoy dinner, and we will be back. We've been joined by Mayor Mike Spano. Welcome, Mayor.